Welcome back to Inside the Dog Pound. Mike Ivcic here with you. Thanks for joining us. And my guest here for segment number 2, Zach Briggs, SwampDogs catcher out of South Dakota State. Zach, thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And now, explain a little bit before we get into anything else. Guy out of Dallas, Texas, winds up at South Dakota State. Tell everybody how that managed to come about.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've had that question asked, but it's kind of a long story. But to sum it up, originally at high school, I was going to attend the University of Kansas, and I was going to play baseball there. And as the process went on and as we were trying to finalize, where I was going to go to school, I met Richie Price in South Dakota State, and we talked for a while, and they offered me, kind of a better deal, and, said, you can go to Kansas and you can play, or you maybe can come to South Dakota State and you can, maybe get some time as a freshman and just, maybe have better opportunities. So I decided with my family, we sat down and we talked about it, and it was a long conversation because it was a lot to weigh and it was a long ways away from home. But I decided to go to South Dakota State, and I'm glad I made that decision. I love it up there.
Now, you've been there for 3 years, going to be a senior next year. A little bit about your experience playing baseball up there at South Dakota State so far. How you feel that that's gone for you?
It's actually gone really well. I've loved my experience, and I love all my teammates. First, when I got there my freshman year, it was a new thing, new state, South Dakota. I didn't know anything about it. So the first winter there was just a shock, a culture shock. I couldn't believe what I got myself into being from Dallas, not seeing snow, to going up to Brookings and seeing 5 feet of snow. But the baseball side of it, I love the guys, I love my team, I love my coaches, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience. I'm so glad I picked that school.
Now you've come down here to Fayetteville for the summer. You've been here just about 2 weeks. Not a whole lot to go on as far as your experience thus far, but let's delve into it a little bit. What is it like playing in front of the home crowd here at J.P. Riddle Stadium?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Back up at school, we don't even get these bigger crowds as we do down here in Fayetteville. And the fans that come out and support us, and the cheers and the yelling during our at-bats, during when we're in the field, it's something that makes you want to play harder. It's something that gets you pumped up, and it's really an awesome experience.
You've been catching now for about 6 to 7 days straight, almost a full week. A little bit banged up, and that comes with the territory of being a catcher. What are some of the injuries that you've had so far? And now, maybe not just this summer, but some of the things being behind the plate in high school and college that you've had to deal with.
Yeah, like you said, being a catcher obviously comes with the territory. You're going to get banged up. And last night's game, that was a rough one. I took a few foul balls in some areas that kind of hurt a lot. But over the years, just the typical injuries as a catcher. I've broken a thumb, I've broken a wrist, I've got hit with a couple bats. But other than that, I've actually been really fortunate. My knees have held up, so that's been a good thing. That's the main part, is being a catcher, is if you have good knees.
Sure.
But other than that, just the typical foul tips here, foul balls there. Other than that, I've been pretty lucky.
What is the hardest thing about joining a team where you don't get a chance to work with the pitchers nearly as much as you do in a college setting? You get all fall, winter ball when you're in the cages, and seeing these guys throw bullpen sessions, even indoors. You don't really get the chance to work with those guys as much here when you come to Fayetteville. What's the hardest thing about being behind the plate, catching guys that you've met maybe 2 or 3 days ago, or in some cases maybe 2 or 3 hours ago?
I think one of the hardest things is, just learning what they have and learning how to call pitches and learning how to control them, because part of being a catcher is understanding your pitchers and knowing what they throw and what they like to throw and when they like to throw it. So I think, coming here and meeting all the guys and all our pitchers who are all exceptional pitchers, that was the toughest part for me. And I think through the early work that we have in before our games and then the bullpen sessions, that's when I really get a chance to learn the pitchers and get a feel for them. So I think just learning what they have and learning what their confidence levels are with what pitches is the main part, and so we can get on the same level and same page and have a good ball game.
We're talking with Zach Briggs. He's the catcher for the Fayetteville SwampDogs, one of 2 that the SwampDogs have on the roster. And switch to the plate now. You get to sit behind the plate for 9 innings. Does that help you at all when you're standing at the plate hitting to know maybe where the strike zone is, what the umpire is calling? How much of an effect does that have when you're standing up there at the plate?
I think I do have a little bit more of an advantage over, just the regular hitter that plays in the field, because I do, like you said, I do get to sit behind the plate, and I do get a feel for the umpire's strike zone and what he likes to call and what he doesn't call. So when I'm at the plate, I can have it in my mind, what pitches I want to lay off of, what pitches I want to swing at. So I do think it might give me a little bit of an advantage, and it helps me a lot.
Fayetteville SwampDogs are big into being involved in the community. You guys do kids camps, you're out there making appearances at the malls and at different events that go on throughout the summer here in Fayetteville. What has been the biggest thing? I know it's only been 2 weeks, but what has been the biggest thing for you as far as community involvement that you've seen out of being a part of the SwampDogs?
I love that the team is involved with the community so much. And last week we got to do this thing called Buddy Baseball, where we went out to one of the local fields here and we got to play with children that couldn't play by themselves, maybe disabled or some sort of injury or some sort of illness or something like that. And that was just an amazing experience to see those kids and get to work with them and get to just play baseball, the game that we get to play every day, and how lucky we are, and just to see the smiles on their faces. And it just really makes me happy, and I love seeing the community, and I love being involved, and the Fayetteville SwampDogs do a great job of being involved with the community and getting our name and our program out there, and I just think it's wonderful.
You mentioned the crowd size here at JP Riddle. You don't get a chance to maybe play in front of those fans up in South Dakota State. What's the biggest change or difference for you playing in front of maybe 2,500 to 3,500 people as opposed to the crowd you got at South Dakota State? What is the biggest maybe impact on your game do you notice at all? Or does it not have an impact?
I think at some points it does. You know, I think one of the major, when you can notice an impact is like when you're hitting, because who wants to go 0 for 4 in front of 3,000 people? That's just that's not a fun day. But I think the main thing that when I came here that I knew there was going to be good crowds, I think, you know, you just got to be able to zone them out, you know, just get in your groove and play your game and not listen to what's going on. Rather it's good or bad with your home crowd, normally it's good. But I think it's just you have to play your game and stay within yourself and just not notice the crowd sometimes.
Now, you are originally from Dallas, Texas, so maybe the weather, at least heat-wise, not a tremendous difference from where you grew up, but playing baseball in this weather, maybe not something you've done in a while. How are you holding up to the heat? Is it have an effect on you at all?
Oh, you should. Dom's our equipment manager in the locker room, and I think he hates me. You should see my jerseys after games. You could drench it. You could wring them out. They're pretty sweaty. But, yeah, like you said, I'm from Dallas, and the heat's not a big factor with me, but it's the humidity here. That really kills me. And, you know, we don't have that up in South Dakota. So my first few weeks here, I'm pounding Gatorades and waters left, right, and center, trying to stay hydrated.
Well, and that's the biggest thing. Got to stay hydrated in the heat. We're talking with Zach Briggs, catcher for the Fayetteville SwampDogs. Let's spend just a couple minutes getting to know a little bit about Zach away from the baseball field. What are some of your interests and hobbies and likes aside from baseball?
I really like, you know, I love music. I love country music. It's my favorite kind of music. So anytime I get a chance to, you know, go to a concert or check out a new artist, you know, I'm all about that. Another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is when I get a chance to go on a vacation, I'm a certified scuba diver.
Wow.
So anytime I get a chance to dive or do anything dive related, I'm all over it. I love doing that stuff, and it's just a real adrenaline rush for me. And I love doing that.
Where's the most interesting or best place you've had a chance to go scuba diving?
I've gone in a few different places, but I want to say the coolest one that I did was in Mexico one day. We did a cenote dive, which is in a cave.
Okay.
And the scuba dive was in a cave, and we were surrounded by walls on each side, so we couldn't get out. So if you freaked out, you were in trouble. So it was just a crazy feeling to just be enclosed, and it was pretty neat.
So your plans now after the game of baseball is done, whenever it might be, obviously you're going to try to play, I would think, as long as you can. What's maybe the goal after baseball is done? You want to get into coaching? You want to do something different, totally different career path? What's the plan for Zach Briggs after baseball?
At college, I'm advertising and marketing major, so when baseball's done, whatever that may be, I might want to get into something on the marketing side of things. You know, maybe be an intern for a club, or maybe try to get involved with a team like the Fayetteville SwampDogs and be the PR guy, or, you know, help get their name and their brand out there. So I really don't have any specific thing that I want to do. I just want to kind of keep my options open, and I know I like people. I want to do stuff with people, so hopefully my career takes me somewhere down that road.
If there's one person that you maybe looked up to more than anybody else growing up, who would that have been?
Oh, it's hard to single out one. I would have to say my parents. You know, they've just been great the whole way through. They've been supportive of me. They were supportive when I decided to go to South Dakota State. They've always been there for me, and I just can't say enough good things about them, and they've been there for me no matter what, and they're just amazing people.
Zach Briggs, my guest on Inside the Dog Pound. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back with Dylan Brown out of NC State, my next guest, as Inside the Dog Pound continues.